All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. This, of course, is going to be the first high-level visit by a top U.S. cabinet official since Joe Biden took charge of the White House. It is no less than the U.S. Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin, who is visiting India today. And the visit comes in the face of a belligerent China and just days after the Quad leaders committed to expanding their cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Now, upon arrival, Lloyd Austin is going to be meeting with the Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and also with the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Now, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is also slated to hold talks with his US counterpart. There will be a wide range of issues on the table during the US Defence Secretary's three-day visit. India and the United States are set to discuss ways to solidify the bilateral defence cooperation. The two sides will also be exchanging views on regional security challenges and common interests for an open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region. Now, Austin will also be calling on the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi before his departure. Now, the India-China border face-off along the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh is also likely to be a point of discussion. The situation in Afghanistan is also very significant for regional and international security. Now, India and the United States maintain a key bilateral relationship. Now, both have, of course, seen expanded bilateral military exercises, joint training of international peacekeeping troops and new arrangements for the two navies. The talks are likely to further boost defence manufacturing, joint ventures with Indian partners, etc. And to give us more insights in terms of what this visit by Lloyd Austin will, of course, mean for the bilateral relationship between India and the United States, we are joined by WION Siddhant Civil, who is joining us live on this broadcast. Good morning to you, Siddhant. This is a crucial visit by the top Biden administration official. It is the Defence Secretary who is expected to come to India today. So what's on the agenda, Siddhant?
Well, a lot of things will be on the agenda, but the biggest, of course, is a signal of close partnership between New Delhi and Washington. The fact that a top U.S. administration minister will be here in Delhi just 2 months after the Biden administration took charge shows that how the Biden administration is keen on increasing the relationship with New Delhi. Of course, this is also coming in the backdrop of the Quad meeting. Remember, the Quad meeting happened just 1 week ago today, and we saw that Quad meeting saw a number of focus areas being discussed, whether it is the Chinese aggressiveness or practical cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. So largely his visit here in Delhi will be about practical cooperation in the Indo-Pacific and how both countries can increase closer defense cooperation. In fact, when we talk about closer defense cooperation, Washington has authorized $20 billion of sale to India in just past 1 year. And we know that number of operational pacts have also come into operation, which includes Comcasa and Lemoa. We know that this year, India and United States will have their 2+2 dialogue, which is the dialogue between the foreign ministers and the defense ministers in Washington. The last one happened in Delhi. We know that that was a significant visit by the then top officials, the U.S. Secretary of State and Defence Secretary's visit to India, and that was amidst the COVID pandemic. And now this visit is happening. We know that today he will be landing around at 4 p.m. Indian Standard Time here in Delhi, and his first set of meetings include meeting with the Indian NSA Ajit Doval. But tomorrow it will be focus of having the conversation with the Indian Defence Minister. In fact, what both sides are mulling is a joint press statement which is expected to happen, and that of course will be significant because every word he says from New Delhi is going to reverberate in the larger Indo-Pacific region.
Absolutely indeed. Now, Siddhant, what is going to be looked at is how the Biden administration is laying out its foreign policy. Now, a lot of people were talking about the contrast that would be visible between Donald Trump and his successor Joe Biden, who's now taking charge of the White House. Now, Trump followed a policy of tweets and tariffs against China, but in this case, Joe Biden appears to be much more focused. We saw the meeting of the Quad, the summit meeting of the Quad that took place a few days back, and Lloyd Austin and Anthony Blinken were also in Seoul, firming up the alliance there, and now Lloyd Austin is in India. This is all clearly being done to try and send a message to Beijing.
Well, of course, there are similarities and there are divergences as well. Divergences in terms of working, in terms of how diplomacy is conducted. It is a quiet diplomacy. It is a diplomacy which is devoid of shock and sudden announcements through tweet. But there are similarities in terms of while number of policies of the Trump administrations have been scrapped, the US has joined the Paris Accord. There are some policies which includes how to deal with China. There has been the new normal set by Trump continues to be there in terms of the Biden administration also trying to focus on making sure that Chinese aggressiveness is not repeated, especially going up when it comes to Quad Leadership Summit, because this was something that nobody had expected, that Quad leaders will be meeting, especially with the hitches here in New Delhi, because India is only Quad country which shares a long border with China, and of course India was not very keen to go ahead, but finally India has gone ahead, and there is a messaging to Beijing by the Quad countries, by Washington, by New Delhi, and of course Beijing understands that any action now can have its own impact. In fact, we know that the Americans and the Chinese are also having their own set of conversation, but this conversation is happening at the backdrop of Quad meeting, the visits by the US Secretary of State to Asia, the visit by the US Defence Secretary to Asia, and of course to India. So largely a message has been sent to Beijing, but largely it is a partnership of democracies coming together.
Absolutely, indeed. We'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Siddhant Sibil, for joining us and getting us all those insights there. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.